Celebrating 9 years of podcast excellence, the King of Podcasts Radio Network proudly presents the Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us.
Don't sleep on Impact Wrestling. I've been saying that for a while now. And Slammiversary tonight, as they're celebrating their 20th anniversary, says everything that you need to know about this product and what they did with the show tonight. They had 7 matches, main card, and overall, this was an A across the board. What a hell of a card that they had tonight. And it's a testament to how well this company has made its way back since roughly 2016, when things were in such a rough spot. And for me, as almost a full-fledged Impact Wrestling fan from the beginning, I didn't watch the pay-per-views. I didn't pay for them. I could have done that, but I didn't have any idea if Impact Wrestling or TNA was even going to stay as long as it did. I caught them during the Fox Sports Net days on Sunshine Network. And then I was watching somewhat. What really got me started was when they got the spike and the 60-minute adrenaline rush, all that came along with it, Mike Tenay and Don West, and the whole setup for that. I really enjoyed that time. It was such a fast show to watch, and just seeing all that they did with the show going forward. But I'm not one of those historians that goes back to TNA. Listen, this company has survived, and there's a credit to Anthem Entertainment, Anthem Sports, and what they've done with everything that's gone on. Scott D'Amore, Ed Norholm, Don Callis to an extent, and everybody that was a part of making this possible. Because I really feel like Anthem Sports and what they did to make this product resurrect itself, it's now at the best spot it's ever been. It really is. I'm really happy with where things went with this company and where they are right now. It's a wonderful sight to see for them going forward. So let's go and talk about the card itself. I'm not going to talk about Vince McMahon tonight. I made my point across that. So if anybody looks for that commentary additional to what I said, not about the Vince McMahon story itself, I'm going to just really go into this quick tangent and just make this point as we start. Anybody wants to hear that, I might make some comments at the end of this episode, but I said what I said about the article and the legitimacy of the article, because I know everybody's talking about that right now. But I'm going to just tell you, now we have the investigation. Vince has stepped aside, stepped back, not stepped down. But everybody wants to say step down. Stepped aside, stepped back. He can be reinserted back in as chairman and CEO, and Stephanie is interim CEO, and that's it. So let this play out. Internal investigation. Nothing else is being said about it, so why else talk about it? My point is still, it's one publication, and I am frustrated, disappointed mostly because of the fact that my podcast wrestling brethren, all the journalists out there, all the dirt sheets, you all decided to go ahead and take the Wall Street Journal's word as bond. You wanted to listen to them. You wanted to agree with them. You want to take their information as fact when you had one anonymous source and leaked emails. That's all you have. That's a testament to what people think is journalism these days, when it's not. So I just want to make sure I say that. We're going to move along to Slammiversary, because that's what's more important tonight. Out of everything else that's going on in AEW, we got Forbidden Door next week. That's fine. Impact Wrestling, you know what? You come for this episode for me to talk about this and to relish in how great this show was. And this is a testament. The fact they got these Ring of Honor stars and Honor No More, and they have that storyline going on. The return of Sami Callihan. And you brought a number of TNA legends and greats, and you got some messages from some really impactful stars that have made major waves. And most importantly, one of the matches of the night, or the match of the night to me, was the Queen of the Mountain match, because the Knockouts division is one of the greatest things that was ever done for women's wrestling. As a testament, the Knockouts division is consistently one of the best women's wrestling divisions in all of wrestling. There's no discounting what WWE's done. But remember, when Impact Wrestling just started the Knockouts division, sir, correct me if I'm wrong, but WWE still had divas. They might have started seeing some empowerment in terms of seeing Lita and Trish Stratus, main eventing Raw, things like that. But then you still had, for every Lita and Trish Stratus or every AJ Lee, you had other stars that were just, not necessarily in the same vein. And sure, they had some good wrestlers in there. Don't get me wrong. I'm never going to say that. But the Knockouts division was a seriously brought together thing, and consistently, even when in the leanest times of the Knockouts, when they only had so many stars to work off of in that roster, it was still great. It was really good. And so many different variations of what they did when it came to factions, when it came to everything. There's just so much there to make a point about, which is unfortunate because we didn't get a chance to see the beautiful peoples being part of this. Team 3D, I would have thought they would have been together to be a part of this thing. I mean, Bully Ray was at the NWA's Always Ready pay-per-view. I don't know. But that's also asking for a lot. I mean, they did put some things where they brought, Aces and Ace back with Wes Briscoe and Garrett Bischoff working and D'Lo Brown doing Sky High, and that's all good stuff. But this pay-per-view tonight was really, and they were not afraid to go ahead and pick on themselves when it came to matches that were brought on before. And some of those things that TNA tried to do experimentally that might not have done so well. Because they did do the reverse battle royal, which I don't remember ever seeing before. I don't think I ever saw one of those matches, but I mean, I see what they were trying to do. I didn't get to see, first of all, the Digital Championship match, Rich Swann over Brian Myers, and Rich Swann retained. Probably would have been a good match. Too bad I missed it. It's like how many times have I missed BTI? Because it's on YouTube and I don't follow along. So it's one of those things that happen. The reverse battle royal, this concept, you have Maclin and Bey, which looks like they were setting up for an eventual feud because they both knocked each other out of the match. And I think that's something they could definitely go into going forward. And it would be good to see Steve Maclin to continue to be pushed in featured feuds going forward. And him and Chris Bey would be a good place to go. And where the Bullet Club is continuously attacking Steve Maclin in some case. Johnny Swinger, David Young. I remember David Young. God, that's a long time ago. And Sharkboy among people. Look, this is the pre-show match. So for whatever it was worth, the commentators definitely just made their point of what they were saying. Can I also tell you how great the chemistry is between Tom Hannafin and Matthew Raywalt? They are so good together. And of course, they worked at NXT together. They are really solid. It is as good a team as it was with Mike Tenay and Don West, in my opinion. And we went through some things where we had Todd Keneally, and we had, and don't get me wrong, Taz and Mike Tenay was a great group. That was really good. But a couple of times we had Matt Stryker come on, things like that. It was kind of rough. But this was fantastic. What they did in their commentary tonight was really remarkable. Great crowd tonight. Sell out for the Nashville Fairgrounds. That was really good. And they did a really good job this entire night. And Tom Hannafin with a lot of faction figures. He was Michael Cole going on right now with the historic figures. The points are being made of this. By the way, the one thing that was very important, how cool is it that Slammiversary was able to be held, yes, Juneteenth, for those that are celebrating. Everyone in America, of course, is celebrating, right? Of course, right? But yes, June 19th, 2002, the very first pay-per-view of Impact Wrestling as TNA, 20 years ago to the day, being held, and they were doing this. What a very cool moment. Nice way to go and cap things off. And really, what a way to make Impact Wrestling look so good after the historic career. And I am tired of those people that continue to go ahead and just trash the TNA legacy. We know there was stuff you didn't like. We know it wasn't as good as even WCW, and even that, it's worst. We get it. The Vince Russo stuff, the stuff with Bischoff and Hogan, Dixie Carter being all over this. I get it. How much more time do you need? All of you people that have been detractors. Okay, you do the same ones that detract to TNA and bash TNA on a regular basis are the same ones that bash AEW on a regular basis. But meanwhile, I have continued to be steadfast, and I have stayed committed, and I've stayed devoted, and I still have my praise and my enjoyment of Impact Wrestling since 2004. I still enjoy this product. I still watch it. And even when I had to struggle, all right, when I couldn't watch it on Pursuit Channel because they dropped the channel off of my AT&T Universe account, Well, they dropped the channel altogether. And then I was like, well, I have to find it somewhere. So I had to go to the side accounts where they're like, oh, here you go. This is where you can watch like whatever. I had to go watch IMPACT Wrestling another way around because there was no other way to watch it. So I did that for a while and it was good. It gave me a chance to go ahead and continue to watch, even though IMPACT Wrestling was still a little bit rough to watch back then. And it wasn't as if the production wasn't good. It's just that the wrestling they had and what they were doing consistently to have to change was tough. It was a tough time for that company. Very meager means, and they were just trying to hold on. And they did. They kept themselves alive. And right now, IMPACT Wrestling is about as good as has ever been. And I'm even talking about the TNA days. It's as good as it ever been. I love with Scott D'Amore and this company, they will recognize stars from other companies. When you saw Davey Richards come out for the 10-man tag, and they mentioned he's in MLW, or Nick Aldis being in the NWA, being former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, all of that, wonderful. I like that there's a respect in there. And they showed a lot of respect to the previous TNA, the TNA as it was. All of that. That was wonderful. You know, unfortunately, I wish who could have been a part of this too. Jay Lethal wasn't part of that. And he was there for a long time. I wish Jay Lethal dropped a message. There's some names we could have really brought up if we wanted to go through the list of who could have been brought up as part of the TNA legacy that could have been messages as well. But what they did was really great. Into the main card, you have the X-Division title match, the Ultimate X. This was a match I also looked forward to really well. So no Jack Evans. He was medically cleared. They say on commentary. Andrew Everett is a good choice. We don't see him a whole lot. But I do remember, wasn't that long ago, that him and Trevor Lee, the now Cameron Grimes, being tag team champions. And who was it they were partnered up with? I forgot now. The Helms Dynasty. Yes, I had to go back and Google it. With manager Gregory Shane Helms. That was 2016. Man, that's a while ago. That's crazy. So yeah, this is nice to go see Andrew Everett into the match. And also some of the newer stars they've brought in. Alex Zane coming from New Japan Pro Wrestling and all the things going on with the Bullet Club. Him and Ace Austin obviously at odds. And Kenny King was in it. Trey Miguel, former X-Division champion, which, you know, there's a lot I can say about Trey Miguel. Ace Austin being champion, coming back from the Super Juniors tournament at New Japan Pro Wrestling, and now being brought into the Bullet Club. What a great place for him to be. And Speedball Mike Bailey, who has impressed every appearance I've seen, along with Steve Maclin, who's really been a shining star at IMPACT Wrestling this year. There is something to be said about Speedball Mike Bailey. I never heard much about him. I know he's from Canada and all. And there's just certain wrestlers they bring into this fold. And I'll tell you, Speedball Mike Bailey, what a phenomenal talent. He is great. And this was really what they put on together. Great X-Division match. This really had a whole lot of action going on. Great to go see Ace Austin and Speedball going after each other at the top of the ropes to crisscross over the belt and going after that. That was really good stuff. Trey Miguel was a standout in this match. There was some Canadian destroy he did off the top rope. Something ridiculous. I forget who it was he did it on. I think it was Kenny King, wasn't it? I forget who it was against. But I'll tell you, this was a hell of a match. And for me, when I look at that match, Miguel should absolutely be near the X-Division title because it's just that good. Or put him back in another feature feud, something. Or make him an eventual world title contender. Because he is excellent. And he's been there so long and has been so, I think he's really over well. So let's see if Trey Miguel can move up a little bit higher up the card. Some other feature feuds. I want to see if there's more to him but just besides what Sami Callihan was able to do with him in an initial feud when Trey Miguel was stand alone without the Rascals and all that going on. Match number 2, Impact Knockouts Tag Team Title Match, Influence and Rosemary versus Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie. What a hell of a match to have back. This was wonderful. And there was one point in that match that just scared the crap out of me because when I saw where Taya and Rosemary did back body drops really did both Madison Rayne and Tenille Dashwood. I just saw looked like Madison Rayne took the big brunt of hitting Tenille's head. They both bounced heads off each other as they went to the mat. And I'll tell you, Madison Rayne, I don't know if she was working with a concussion or not, but that looked brutal. But she was in there. Rosemary was fantastic. And I think the chemistry between Taya Valkyrie and Rosemary is tremendous. I loved all the stuff they did together. The Inner Realm stuff, the Wrestle House, all those things, the whole Johnny Bravo thing. I really love what Taya Valkyrie and Rosemary did. And I think they're going to definitely go a different direction because Taya Valkyrie's not so much of the diva as she was originally when she was in here. This is now where it's like this, they're bedfellows, but they're just, it's an odd couple and it works. And by the way, congratulations, Taya Valkyrie. I saw MLW Fusion this week. She's the first ever women's featherweight champion. That's fantastic. So great place for her to be. And she's just rocking it. And also won the Reina de Reinas title at Triple Mania 30 and challenged Thunder Rosa to a match. I guess she wants to try to go champ with Thunder Rosa. And I hope that match happens. Can we do that? I don't guess we can't do it at Forbidden Door, right? But can we have that match, please? Can we please have Taya Valkyrie and Thunder Rosa? I would love that tremendously. Let's book that match, Tony. Tony Khan, please make that match happen. Please do. If not, let her go down to Triple Mania for the October of the 3-day Triple Mania 30th anniversary event. Let's let her go down there and defend that AEW belt. Please. That would be wonderful. This is a good match. Monsters Ball match. This is another one that was surprising. Now, we always remember how in previous years, this is where the Abyss spot is. And the Monsters Ball matches we used to see, we were kind of like just, man, it is extreme to the max. They did give us that match, which this was the only extreme match on the card, and everything in the kitchen sink was in it. Of course, there was tables and ladders and other things going on in the Queen of the Mountain match and other matches as well. But this Monsters Ball match was crazy. And Moose took some crazy ass moves tonight. Sammy takes these matches and puts them on another level. He is the master of the Monsters Ball. This guy is really good with these matches. He is taking it upon his own and it works. And Sami Callihan is the master of whatever feud you give him. Give him Pentagon Jr. Give him Tessa Blanchard. Give him Eddie Edwards, which that was my mistake. But Eddie Edwards him had a tremendous feud together. And this right here where Sami Callihan was out for 10 months with injury and they played up the whole Monsters Ball 24 hours. They're both isolated, no food, no water, all this, right? To where they even played it off where Moose takes somebody's hot dog and a drink and refreshes himself because he's been starving this whole time leading up to the match. This match was ridiculous. Now, also, Sami Callihan to me is what John Moxley's to AEW. He's like the fearless, hardcore hero. Like, he really is. Sami Callihan is such a gift to Impact Wrestling. And it's so great to see him back because look what he did tonight. I mean, he gave us a hell of a Monsters Ball match. That was 16 minutes. That was one of the longest matches on the card. And I'm telling you, that was not a boring match. That was a hell of a match. And Moose, what a go-getter, man. He took a lot of pain, taking tacks, took one shot to the timekeeper's table where he was flown off the top rope. And then he stood up in a trash can. The barbed wire board, he took a shot in that. And then 3 Cactus Driver 97s. So Moose was being put over strong in defeat. And Sammy gets the revenge back, but they had to go that far to make it where Sammy got the win over Moose. But I'll tell you, Moose has to get his heat back. He got pile driven by Josh Alexander coming out of Revolution. And now he loses here to Sami Callihan. We need to build Moose back up. We need to get his heat back. Does he turn face or does he stay heel? Where do we go with that? Because I want to know. And I'm curious where they're going to go with all that going forward and see where they're going to do it. Match number 4, Impact Tag Team Championship match, the Briscoes and the Good Brothers. This was a good match. And to me, I still can't get much into Good Brothers overall, even with his battles with the Bullet Club and all that they're doing with that. The Briscoes really kind of just still fresh to me coming into the space right now, quickly beating up on the Good Brothers and winning at the last pay-per-view, the tag team titles. And one of the few times you're watching an Impact pay-per-view that is not one of the main 4. And you're actually watching somebody winning the belts. Like was kind of weird to see that. But hey, man, we got that match. So I like that part. So one thing for me is the fact that I wasn't so keen on the Good Brothers winning the belts back, but I don't know what that means. The Briscoes are also going after the tag team titles over at NWA. Now, by the way, I forget, did they win at Always Ready? I don't remember. I'm trying to remember if they did, but I'm trying to go and think back if they are right now. I can't think of it at the moment. Yes, I was right. I'm sorry. I forgot to even talk about Always Ready and the fact that now we have new champions crowned at Always Ready. So, first of all, Ella Envy and Kenzie Page becoming the new women's tag team titles, beating the Hex. Forgot about that. Commonwealth Connection winning the NWA World Tag Team titles over La Rebellion, right? And Tara Murdoch wins the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. He takes that win at Always Ready. I forgot all about that. But anyway, I digress. We go back. So yeah, the Briscoes here, they're vying for the NWA World Tag Team titles, and they're here just finishing off a run as Impact World Tag Team Champions. So they're still, I don't know if they go back to Ring of Honor at some point, if that's something where Tony Khan brings them in once Ring of Honor comes back into play, or the Briscoes just continue to kind of just work their way through various divisions and they can go and work in other promotions if that's the case. But there is that. Mike Tenay and Don West are honored, and I'll tell you, it's too bad to see Don West is now dealing with lymphoma, and hopefully he can recover from that. I'll make that point. It was also some things were very touching. Brian Hebner refereeing his last matches for Impact Wrestling, and a rough time because there's Earl Hebner that came out, and then, of course, Earl Hebner's twin brother Dave passed away. That was unfortunate. Tim White, the former WWE referee, also passed away this weekend. So a couple of things were just not cool and not fun to go and see those kind of things happening, but it is what it is. So Mike Tenay and Don West are honored. Of course, I guess we couldn't see Mike Tenay going out there tonight, but either which way, good to see them being honored. A lot of respect for the announcers during the night from them. And Sting and Kurt Angle also giving messages during the night. And then one from AJ Styles. I got to make mention of this too. And AJ Styles, he was making a point that WWE allowed him to do the message to talk to the fans of Impact Wrestling. It was really important. I mean, Sting, of course, getting the clearance from AEW to go ahead and talk. That's great stuff. 3 major pillars of TNA and Impact Wrestling across the board. You don't build this company. Impact Wrestling does not make it to where it is today without the lifting of those 3 stars, of Samoa Joe, of Christopher Daniels. I mean, all of them. Like, so important to the brand. The Motor City Machine Guns, America's Most Wanted, Gail Kim, Awesome Kong, Taylor Wilde, Beautiful People, The Dollhouse, whatever. Pick all those names. You got to remember everybody that just made their way over here. Abyss, all of that. Just wonderful. 10-man tag Impact Originals. You ended up having Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, Frankie Kazarian, Nick Aldis, and the Lone Wolf, Davey Richards, which was a great choice to bring in here because it was everything that you could have wanted in the match, where the former tag team partner of the American Wolves with Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards, the Ring of Honor history plays all to this, and they definitely put that out there. Dixie Carter announces Davey Richards coming out, and Dixie Carter does not age. I'll tell you, her, Christy Hemme, remarkable looking. They do not age at all. They are fine wine. Amazing. Tracy Brooks looked good. Didn't get a good look at her, but, again, it was just nice to see her out there. So you get a little bit of that, too, which is nice. And in the match, everybody worked so well. PCO, that guy's a monster. He's just crazy. Eddie Edwards and Davey Roach just getting some back-to-back with each other. And this match, Motor City Machine Guns, a lot of working with them. You never really talk enough about them when you think about the other tag teams, you always like to talk about when it comes to the Young Bucks or the Hardy Boys and things like that in the last 20 years. But Motor City Machine Guns, remember the Best of 5 series they had with Beer Money? Psh, blowing out of the water. America's Most Wanted comes out. By the way, I forgot to mention that. America's Most Wanted. So Chris Harris and James Storm come out, beer toast with a 6 in the ring. That was cool. And then in the match, Impact wins the match. You would hope that they would actually have that win for this whole overall. That was actually good. The match of the night is the Queen of the Mountain match. This was tremendous. What a hell of a job they did. And the women got a lot of time, which was great. 18 minutes for this match. Only the tag team match, because of all the stars they had in there, and the world title match went a little bit longer, slightly longer. But they all got that same amount of time. And I mean, to me, sure, Impact World title is going to be the end of the card, but you could have put this Queen of the Mountain match up front, and I would have been fine with this as the main event too, because it was main event good. It was an excellent match. I mean, first of all, I love every star that was in this match. All of them. Mickie James is special guest enforcer. Tasha Steelz has done a great job as champion. Chelsea Green, who's been so much of a heel and a villain throughout, especially with the attachment now because of everything with Matt Cardona. And then the whole thing with her and Mickie James going after each other, and Tasha Steelz going after Mickie James. There's just so much animosity and tension going on. Deonna Purrazzo, who I love tremendously, she's the best of the best. Jordynne Grace, who is fantastic, former Knockouts champion, and Mia Yim making her own once again back in this company. Standalone, I will say this, one of the few times where I think when you see a star come back from WWE over to this brand, Mia Yim is just a different level now. She is, I mean, the focus was put on her in NXT. NXT did really great for her. She definitely found her role. HBIC, you get that here. And she's not lost in the spotlight of the dollhouse, which it was always Taryn Terrell was the main focus. But I mean, here, Mia Yim stands out, and you know, they made an important thing that she almost got a chance to win the title. But they did a good job. Everything was going on where you have everyone become eligible for the belt, which was really nice. And Tasha Steelz getting attacked on all sides, which is the way it was supposed to go. Tasha Steelz didn't have a chance. Like the way they put it together, she didn't have Savannah Evans out there to help out. Mickie James is enforcing. I think Mickie James and Tasha Steelz are going to have to face each other again. There's going to be something down the line where that has to be confronted one more time. Chelsea Green is also going to be confronted somewhere down the line with all this going on too. But overall, because of all the animosity going on around the entire ring, there was one point Deonna Purrazzo and Chelsea Green working with each other. And then where they're working with each other at the top of the ladder, first of all, they're trying to go after the belt. They both get thrown off the ladder down to a table. Man, I'll tell you, that was a nasty fall. Chelsea Green, poor thing. I hope she's doing okay. So those two are neutralized. Then Tasha Steelz is neutralized. And then Mia Yim is also neutralized. And so Jordynne Grace stands alone, gets up to the top. She's again Knockouts champion. And I mean, it doesn't make a difference when you put the belt on her or not. She's always a credible champion, always credible for that brand. She's great. And I felt like the last title run that she had was short-lived, but and wasn't it Deonna Purrazzo that beat Jordynne Grace to win that? And, you know, they did, and of course, Jordynne Grace was never left out of the spotlight. I mean, she was in that digital media title thing, and she was being brought up a lot of the men's matches. As you know, they were kind of giving her that Tessa Blanchard push in that other case. But here, she's back on top of the Knockouts division. Great stuff going on. Gail Kim also showing up on, you know, during the interviews. I also love that Scott Hudson had a cameo. That was great too. And that was an excellent match. Best match of the night. These women kicked ass. Testament of the Knockouts division. This is what Impact Wrestling does. I really believe Knockouts division, it's one of the things, when I think of the Knockouts division, after all this time, going back to Gail Kim winning it the first time, and I say to myself, it's like, I don't know why, but you know, when I look at what's going on there, I feel like of everything, they have done such a great job of using the Knockouts World title and everything they've done in this company and all the champions they've had for it. It's been an excellent job of what they've done. Now, in the entire run of the company, 60 champions, the 60th champion now for Jordynne Grace. And you think back of the legacy, what they've done. I mean, Jordynne Grace did have a pretty good long run the last time with the belt, but where everything was going with that, you could have felt like she could have gone even farther. But also the problem was too that she won it in Mexico City, and then we had pandemic, and that was one of the parts that came up, which was unfortunate. But I'll tell you, when you go back and look at everything they've done, remember Allie was 1 point champion. You had Sienna that was champion. Remember going back to those days? And Rosemary had one of the longest runs at 266 days. You go back after that, there's Gail Kim that won it multiple times. Taryn Terrell, 279 days. Going back to that. Let's not forget Tara. Let's not forget Madison Rayne, of course, many times as world champion, and a great Knockouts world champion across the board. And Awesome Kong, who was also fantastic with what they did with her in the run that she did have in TNA anyway. So the Knockouts division's always been really well done. Like that division, they just picked the right women. And how many stars do you see that you remember that have made their way out of that Knockouts division and worked their way up into other brands? Whether it was not in the title picture, but just in the mix. It's just the way it is. The Knockouts division is fantastic. That's what Impact Wrestling does best. They give great women's wrestling consistently. And it's not like it's anything where it's made special. It's just, it's in the mix. They're just as good. They're as good as the men in many cases in the level of matches they give, because you got to be a really good wrestler. You got to be a really good female wrestler to be in that Knockouts division. There are no pushovers in that division. Not really. Not really to me. I mean, there could be a couple that you might say, okay, but they got some quality on most of that roster. A lot of that roster does. So I give them that. And we didn't even talk about Masha Slamovich yet. You know, they have her, and then they have a couple of names that are working in the mix. Oh, was it Giselle Shaw? That's the other one. Lady Frost is in the mix. So there's a few other names they've brought on board that are definitely pretty interesting. And you have stars in the rise. You have some established stars for sure. You're never short of what you got in that Knockouts division. That's something that is really one of the most pinnacle things that this company has done. They have elevated women's wrestling. They forced every other company to do the same. I really believe that. And people can dispute that all they want, but that's how I really feel about it. And then finally, we get to the Impact World Title match. Josh Alexander, Eric Young. This match, I didn't think Eric Young had a chance, but everything kind of plays together. The tribute, the history, the legacy. Eric Young, one of the first people that have been since day one in that company. And he's back here again. He's a great heel right now. The Valhalla design is fine. I got no problem with it. I think it's a pretty good gimmick. It's okay. They don't do too much, but it's a good gimmick nevertheless. And the whole point of this match, you just see a lot of near falls based on tributes to some of the best stars that TNA or Impact Wrestling ever had. So you look at best moonsault ever, Christopher Daniels, Styles Clash, ankle lock. And this is where Josh Alex is using all the legacy of Impact Wrestling. And then Tom Hannafin and Matthew Raywalt make the point of that he's using the legacy of Impact Wrestling to beat Eric Young. Then the Olympic Slam to Joe Doring to neutralize him. A guitar shot from Eric Young to Alexander they put in there. We get a You Gotta Be Kidding Me in the match by Raywalt to tribute Don West. Samoa Joe Uranagi a couple times. And Josh Alexander wins with a C4 spike, which I think he had a couple times. And Alexander wins. Standout. So he continues to work as champion. This is great. They announced Bound for Glory coming up in October. We know that's coming up. And then they'll do Against All Odds next month. We'll keep an eye on that coming up next month. So there we go. That's the Slammiversary. A show tonight. It was an A grade. And could I put it as an A+? Maybe. But I think there was, well, you know what? I don't give it a full A+ because I was a little bit disappointed by the Good Brothers and the outcome. because I'd like to see something else in that tag team division go forward. That's the only thing I think is a little bit of a, it's a thin division. What I need to see now is, now that Honor No More is no longer this whole mix. Now, does Honor No More stay around is what the only thing is. I don't know. I don't know what they do with that. But I'd still like to see like the Kingdom get into the tag team title mix. I'd like to see some other tag teams brought together. Like, let's get something else for the Good Brothers to go up against. Something fresh. Because Good Brothers are stale if they don't have anything to work with. Just saying. Let's see somebody else they got together to go and work off of. And, you know, what the Briscoes are going to do after this anyway. Now, nevertheless, that's the show tonight. Do I want to say anything about Vince McMahon? No, not really. We did talk about the fact that Sasha Banks was most likely released, but there's been no official announcement of a release yet. But multiple sources are saying that it is. So there's that part. Anyway, there's nothing else I can think I'm going to be able to say where things are going to go away. I mean, there's more rumors and stuff about supposedly that Stephanie and Triple H were separated. So there's been that talk. And, you know, there's so much more that's being speculated. And everybody right now is speculating all together. And that's all we continue to keep having. And it doesn't matter to me at all. It's like, what else do you want? Anyways, that's what it is. There's not much more to say about that. Next weekend, I will do a post show on Forbidden Door. We'll do a good preview for that as well. And I'm not going to worry so much about Vince McMahon. Listen, let's wait for the actual investigation to finish, and then I'll care. Can we do that? Is that okay? That sound like a plan? Good. That's it for this Wrestling Culture podcast. Thanks for listening in. Remember to go and please rate and review the show. I'd really appreciate all you to do that. I don't even ask you at the top of the show. I ask you at the end of the show. Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Please do that. That would really mean a lot to me. And if you haven't had a chance to check out my other programs, Broadcasters Podcast, I actually did a couple of shows this past week on Stranger Things and the whole thing of the phenomenon that is Kate Bush and the song Running Up That Hill and how much of a difference that's made to the music and radio industry and just everything in general when it comes to new music. Check that out. Those episodes right now at broadcasterspodcast.com. And Depraved and Debaucherous, my other series, which I talk about a lot of different things. I put episodes up 3 times a week, so check out for that. And thanks for listening to the Wrestling Culture podcast. We'll come back this Wednesday going into Thursday because wrestling needs us.
Thank you for listening to the Wrestling is Real podcast. You can find all previous episodes at wrestlingisreal.com or subscribe to the show on all major podcast outlets, including Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Follow the King of Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at King of Podcasts, and search King of Podcasts on YouTube, or type youtube.com/JBRASCO951. This has been a presentation of the King of Podcasts Radio Network.